Hey, fellow Korean drama fans, let's talk about It's Okay to Not Be Okay. Right? What do you all think about essentially the character development or the character in and of itself of Moon Young? I went ahead and I went down the rabbit hole of Reddit after I finished it, right? I binge watched it like this past weekend. And it's interesting because Moon Young is she is portrayed, or I think most people like love her because she's portrayed as such a really like strong character and personality. And I thought it was interesting because I couldn't help but feel that, of course, I could understand where it was coming from based on just watching Korean dramas already for the past 15 years. You've seen, of course, them progress, right? And different storylines started to finally appear. And, you know, of course, this would be maybe sometimes your traditional storyline of if the gender roles were reversed, right? Like, so Kang Tae would be the traditional female maybe characters would have been in a drama like that, and Moon Young would be what traditional male would be in this kind of drama, right? So in that sense, like for instance, when there was the scene where they were eating and Kang Tae took the day off, and then Moon Young after she had that nightmare and he took the day off, and then they went ahead and they went to this barbecue place. And he was sort of like feeding her, and then all of a sudden she asked him if he ever had, can I say this on TikTok? If he had sort of ever gone to bed, if we say it like this, with another woman, and then he kind of like burst out, right? He took a sip of water and burst out like the water. But so it was interesting because that was very confrontational almost. It was very upfront, it was very honest, it was very bold, we would say. Because like even I feel like as a Western woman, right, that is quite a bold move to make, right? But it's not like necessarily, I would say, untypical. I think it's something that would be perceived as okay. But like when I read some of the comments on Reddit and some of the other comments that she sort of made or advances towards Kang Tae, they're seen as being aggressive or stalkerish. And for me personally, it was interesting because I didn't necessarily see it like that as a Western woman. I felt like, and maybe that was the problem, it could be the problem, but I felt like I felt definitely like she was not incorporated into society in a traditional way because of her traumatic upbringing. And because of that, I think she didn't have some of those societal norms or gender norms down as well. That's what it felt like more to me. And that was also her personality. Obviously, she was written as a sociopath in a sense, which has gotten a little bit missing then towards like the second half or like towards the end of the drama in certain ways that she acted, which kind of like, from what I know or like from research, right, that is not maybe how a sociopath would act. But so it's interesting because I just felt like I felt more that she just was not caring about so much what other people thought, and it was and I think I would consider this also as a Western woman more admirable, because I think oftentimes we women, maybe by and large, we're not going for what we want. And I also know so many friends that maybe they see a man that they feel attracted to at a bar, and they're not like approaching them, they're waiting for them to approach them still. And I think even in the West, for someone a female sort of to take the step and take the lead is something that's admirable, and I think it's something that's really bold. So kind of that's where I came from. Where I did understand the stalkerish comments and where they came from was more in the fact that for instance, when she went ahead and she sort of almost kidnapped Sang Tae, or I shouldn't say kidnapped, she was more manipulating him into getting into the car ride and then going to her house and trying to get him to sign papers that they move away from where they were living to her house. So that was manipulative, and that was a little bit stalkerish as well, in my opinion. I don't know, because I feel like some of the things that were portrayed, like when she was sort of like looking longingly at him that time that Kang Tae went and to the publishing, I think, house it was, right, in order to kind of get an apology from the publishing director, right? I felt like more when she was looking at him for the glass too, and then she was looking at him when he was leaving, it felt like it was more like she was obviously just longing after him, right? I mean, so often though, I feel like also we're doing that, and I think it just showed it. I think honestly the show, And because, I mean, I can guarantee you, like, so many of you have actually done that before as well, right, towards someone else, like maybe in your 20s, or I don't know, I don't know. But so I think I think that was kind of made sense to me. I feel like obviously the part of like the mental health, the thing that really put me off of the show more was not even her character, because I did feel like in certain instances she was very bold of a character. I felt like that the thing that put me off more was the fact that her lost mom, who was supposed to be dead, that she turned out to be, spoiler alert, that she turned out to be one of like the head nurse, right? So that was completely confusing to me, because I think the show could have held on its own, the storyline could have held on its own without sort of like adding this dramatic tool towards the end of adding that with the mom. But then again, you know, I feel like sometimes you need that in Korean dramas, and of course it heightens all of the emotions, and it heightens then the connectedness of maybe Kang Tae with Moon Young. And of course, it feels like to a sense that he sometimes in a way doesn't have a choice. But then I also felt like, I feel like just coming from my nephew, one of my nephews that is autistic, severely autistic too, coming from that point of view, I also think like what some of the comments or threads on Reddit like forgot is that not many maybe potential partners or women, even if they liked maybe Kang Tae, they could deal with the situation that was in. They could deal with the fact that he probably will always want to take care of his brother. So I think if you're keeping that in mind, like it takes a certain kind of person, you know, it takes a certain kind of character to maybe also, when, if I may say so, to be with him, to want to be with him, and to deal with what he has to deal with. And I think that's exactly what Moon Young was, right? That's exactly who she was, because of the connection, obviously, as so many Korean dramas love to do, is the connection from their childhood and from the past, right? Because it was there, and she was willing to kind of put up with that, and not just put up with it, but you know, she had like she developed their own relationship then with Sang Tae-an and helped him become an illustrator and so on. So I think in that sense that was a little bit forgotten, because of course it felt like he had no choice, and now he had to shoulder everything that Moon Young was coming with, all of her past drama and traumatic drama and whatnot. But then on at the same time she had to as well, right? So anyways, just some thoughts. I mean, of course it's not okay that, you know, how she treats certain kind of people through the show, it wasn't okay. But then at the same time I feel like would it have been okay if, I don't know, would it have been okay if the gender roles would have been reversed in the drama? If the drama was written with reversed gender roles, would it have been okay how she acted? Possibly not, possibly yes, I don't know. Because in some instances she just really was acting sort of like an arrogant, if I may say so, male in some instances, right? And really defending herself and helping like the girl and so on. So I think it was completely valid or legitimate that she kind of really put those people into place. So that one guy who was kind of hitting his wife, who was in the physical clinic, in the therapy clinic, and then was hitting her. I mean, you know, the way she treated him, I think it was valid for him to be treated that way. What do you think? Let me know, fellow drama fans.